Wait, LHHATL actually said that. KB. The cast was shaken. The producers were scurrying, and fans couldn't believe what was being said behind the scenes. According to various sources close to the VH1 set, LHHATL recently dropped one of the messiest allegations in love and hip-hop history. She allegedly informed others that Mendices had gotten Erica Mena pregnant. That Erica on the streets claims it wasn't simply talk. It was a full-fledged smear effort to defend her own man, Kirk. It's being dragged left and right for his strange fixation with Mendices' every action. And now all hell has broken loose. Yandy's name has surfaced again on the blogosphere. Staying quiet simply made everything worse. And Mendices isn't laughing. It's furious. People close to him say he feels set up, surprised, and disgusted because this isn't simply a tabloid ruse. This is personal. It's about loyalty. It's about the truth. And it's about a man witnessing his character be manipulated in order to distract from someone else's guilt. We are breaking what actually happened, why LHHATL would say something so foolish, and how this single rumor has sparked a far larger fight between two hitherto secretive houses. Stay away from exploding. When the rumor originally circulated in the group chat, everyone assumed it was a prank. A nasty one. One of those chaotic love and hip-hop moments that fades by midday and never reaches a confessional. But then it moved discreetly from glam chair to glam chair, stylist to stylist, until it landed exactly where it wasn't supposed to on Yandy's phone. And that was when everything changed. The message was only a few words long, but the damage is immediate. The message went, "Girl, they sang Erica Mena pregnant by Mendices and the one spreading it. That is." Yandy didn't even answer immediately. She simply gazed at the TV, locked her jaw, and stood up. She did not cry. She did not shout. She simply stepped out of the room and sought a quiet hallway to breathe in. Because this wasn't all drama. This wasn't simply a TV catastrophe. It was a direct blow to her marriage, tranquility, and the man she battled for while the entire world judged her choices, and the fact that it came from LHHATL, someone she used to admire. Someone who taught about true love and loyalty made it feel like betrayal with lip gloss applied. Mendices were in a different section of the building, speaking with production. As she walked up, they didn't even have to say it. The expression on her face told him everything. When she eventually showed him the message, he blinked twice. Then he said something that made her heart drop. He responded, "I knew it was coming. I just didn't think she'd go that far." Strangely, Mendes had already sensed the strain building. Since the last confrontation with Kirk, when he mentioned that strange preoccupation, the energy on set has shifted. It was not just awkward, but also purposeful. People moving, strange production asking pointed questions, LHHATL seeming just a little too interested in his whereabouts, and now it all made obvious. The smear campaign had already begun, and the weirdest thing was that they used Erica Mena to do it. To be clear, Erica had been cool, not close, not messaging every night, but cordial and professional to cast members, with enough history to not be across the room but not enough controversy to cause headlines. So, where did the pregnant lie come from? That's the bit that made mans want to flip the entire fancy table. He stated unequivocally, "You have to be a different kind of evil to play with that type of rumor just to protect your man's ego." Because that's what it all came down to. Kirk had been dragged for weeks after Mendices confessed his obsession with him on camera. The internet mocked him. The cast sided with him. Even Scrappy admitted that he needed to reorganize his priorities. And LHHATL, instead of inspecting her boyfriend and questioning why he was always looking at another man's glow, decided to perform damage control in a nasty way by starting a fresh scandal. It worked for 1 minute. People began whispering, not because they believed it, but because it was so unbelievable, so sloppy, but so calculated. And when Erica arrived on stage looking perfect but silent, people interpreted it as confirmation because of the quietness. When people want to believe a lie, silence can quickly become twisted. But no one anticipated Mendices to face it head on. Not through postings or subscriptions, but in front of cameras with receipts, wrath, and every shred of his dignity intact. The occasion occurred during a cast roundtable. It's one of those let's talk it out scenarios. Production loves to stage tension. Becomes too dense to ignore. They invited Yandy, Mendices, Rashida, Kirk, Scrappy, and a few other people. It was intended to be about relationships, trust, and handling celebrity as a couple. However, everyone understood why they were there. And when the lights came on and the questioning began, Mines didn't have to wait long. He stared directly at Rashida. No hesitation, no politeness, just eyes locked. And he added, "I'm just going to say it once so it doesn't get twisted. Stop lying about my identity, dragging my wife, and using Erica Mena to hide your man's filth." The room fell silent. Kirk shuffled in his chair, Scrappy looked away, and Rashida blinked as if she'd been hit with reality. But Mendices wasn't done. He said he'd already confirmed it, and 3 different people told him Rashida was the source of the pregnancy rumor. He stated, "You sat up and told people I got Erica pregnant, knowing damn well it ain't true. Can you do it because you don't care? Or because you're scared?" Scared? He argued that Kirk's image was breaking, that the narrative was shifting, and instead of letting Kirk face the consequences, LHHATL attempted to intervene, claiming she had never said such. But Mendices cut her off abruptly. He said, "Do not lie again. You've already done enough. Now, sit with it." And Yandy, she didn't say a word. She simply stared at Rashida like she was watching a stranger wear her friend's face. Then came the twist. Nobody saw coming, and DC's pulled out his phone, opened a message, and gave it to Scrappy. It was from someone in production, dated 2 weeks prior, and it claimed they were chatting. Scrappy read it, passed it on to Jock, who had just walked in late, and the room fell silent because it was no longer just a rumor. Sabotage. Rashida was revealed. Mendices leaned back, glanced at Kirk, and said, "You always preach about men. Yet you allow your wife behave like that. That is what you call love." Kirk did not answer. He merely stared at the floor, because what could he say? The falsehood had been planted, and the damage had been done. Erica hadn't even entered the room yet, but she was on her way, and now the entire cast was aware. And when she walked in, the final piece of the puzzle was about to come into place, for Erica's next words would leave everyone dumbfounded. But for the time being, the table had been set. The truth was halfway out, and Rashida was sitting there, with a look of sadness on her face, watching a lie. She began unraveling quicker than she could blink. When Erica eventually walked in, the room became quieter. There was no music, no chatter, just the sound of high heels on hardwood. As she walked to her seat, she appeared flawless. Of course, glam on 10. Clothing sharp edges laid, but her face was unreadable. She did not smile or say, but sat down, crossed her legs, and gazed. Yandy remained motionless as she walked around the room, as if she knew she was entering into something that had already begun without her. It had men, and the DCs didn't move. Rashida began fidgeting, as if she didn't know how to prepare for what was to come. Kirk appeared to want to escape. Scrappy cast a glance at the producers, who pretended they weren't living for every second of this, and at Erica. She finally turned to Mendices and asked calmly, "You want to tell me why I'm being dragged into a storyline I didn't sign up for?" Mendices nodded once, neither aggressive nor defensive. "It's just real," he answered, "because your name is being used to conceal someone else's disgrace." Then he gave Rashida a harsh look and said, "Do you want to repeat that in her face, Rashida?" I tried to laugh it off, act confused, and say something like, "I don't know what's being said anymore." This whole thing was blown out of proportion, but nobody was buying it, especially not Erica. Erica turned her head slow, locked eyes with Rashida, and said, "You told everybody he had gotten her pregnant." Rashida looked around, as if someone was supposed to save her. Kirk opened his mouth to speak, but Erica cut him off before he could even begin. "Don't even try. I didn't say anything when you exploited me for your marriage drama seasons ago, or when you had me on TV crying over some Mendices who looked surprised for a second. Even he hadn't heard that portion yet." So when Erica took out her phone and played the audio low enough for just the front row to hear, jaws fell. Rashida laughed and said, "Girl, it would be the gag of the season. Consider if we stated Erica's baby could be his. Yandy would lose it. The clink of a drink could be heard in the background, as if it were a joke or nothing. But now it was everything. Yandy did not move or blink, but her jaw tightened so sharply that you could see it flexing beneath the makeup, and Mendes exhaled like if he'd been punched. Scrappy put his hand on his head. Joj mumbled, "Damn," under his breath, and Rashida froze, without words, defense, or shade. DC's men finally piped up, saying, "So, what are we doing now? You can't clean up your own man's trash, so you come after me." Then he turned at Kirk and said, "You're proud of this?" Kirk remained silent. Erica stepped up and declared she didn't need this. That quiet said far more than any single quote could. She claimed she was not going to let her reputation be tarnished for ratings or to defend a man who couldn't even protect his own household, and just as she went out, she glanced at Yandy and said, "I'm sorry you had to hear it like this, but don't ever think I'd do something like that behind your back. I have too much respect for myself and you." Then, she departed. No tears, no drama, only grace, and the entire room felt it. Yande finally turned her head to face Rashida for the first time that day. She did not raise her voice or toss a drink. She just stated, "You're disgusting." She then reached for Mandy C's hand, stood up, and followed Erica out. Not because she needed to storm out, but she refused to stay for 1 second longer across from someone who could lie so easily about something so serious. RASHEDA attempted to recover. She said she was joking. They claimed it was merely a silly hypothetical, but no one was laughing. The producers appeared stressed now, not because they disliked the drama, but because it became too real. Too quickly. This wasn't your typical reality TV shade. This was defamation, personal insults, and emotional warfare, disguised as gossip, with the cast. They were done faking. Scrappy finally spoke, said, "Nah, this ain't it. We're supposed to be messy, but not evil." Jock nodded, asked if the roles were reversed and someone had said Kirk got another woman pregnant, Rashida would have shut down production herself. She didn't dispute the claim. She merely glanced down, perhaps realizing that the storm she produced had landed on top of her house. After filming was completed, word traveled quickly. Fan pages were lighting up. Blog began posting. Rashida allegedly left voice notes. Some of them were modified, some were phony, and some were genuine. But the harm had been done. Erica went live and made it plain that she was not pregnant, hadn't been with menaces, was outraged that her name was being bandied around as if she were a pawn in someone else's storyline. Her live video received over 200,000 views in one night. The comments, even brand deals, begin discreetly backing away because when a woman lies about another woman's womb, especially to keep her own male from being dragged, people don't. Behind the scenes, the producers were fretting about how to edit the mess, without appearing to be protecting anyone, and they couldn't decide whether to air the voice note or not. But then DC allegedly urged them, air it all. At the end of the day, this wasn't just about a bogus pregnancy rumor. It was also about trust and reputation, about the quiet war happening behind the glitz and the camera lights. And now that everything was exposed, no one could pretend it was just for TV anymore. The damage was after that dramatic incident. No one looked at Rashida the same way, not the cast, crew, or even despite the fact that her garments were still flying and her face was still beat. The energy around her had entirely changed. She went from being the level-headed one, the woman with a boss chick branding, to the one who created a pregnancy scandal about another woman solely to hide her husband's disintegrating image. What made it worse was that she still hadn't yanned. Di apologized and remained silent on social media, with no rants, remarks, or shadow. However, if she didn't need to go live and air Rashida out, Erica had already cleared her. Her silence was a smack in the face of everyone since they expected her to respond. The streets were talking, and it wasn't a pleasant conversation. DC's name came next, and he had already revealed enough information to leave no room for doubt. Rashida was advised weeks ago not to use Erica's name in such a way, according to a producer who leaked the information to a blogger. In a production meeting, she pitched the storyline, claiming it would shake things up and get people talking. She even allegedly added, "If Means wants to come for Kirk, let's see how he handles being the center of some real mess." The quote was shared on social media before the program aired, and fans, they went in and they started calling her calculated, insecure, and bitter. People who had once championed her through all of the Kirk drama were now saying she had no right to weaponize someone Elsa's reputation, after everything she'd been through, was rich with irony, and the response was greater than she had expected. But what stung the hardest was how the other cast members started backing away. Scrappy informed one of the producers at a mic check that he wasn't comfortable being in scenes with Rashida for a long, saying she crossed a line that you can't go back from. Carly Red, who enjoys a good mess, once told her stylist, "Girl, I've done some wild Shastra's tea, but that was low and Bambi." She did not say anything, but she unfollowed Rashida. The clip went viral the same night, catching the attention of fans, bloggers, and even Rashida. Meanwhile, Kirk remained in the shadows, refusing to publicly defend Rashida and failing to appear on live television to clarify matters. He did not upload his regular date night with buy stuff to distract people. He was too silent, and many began to question, was he ashamed or guilty? Mendes wasn't finished either, not because he wanted to stretch things out, but because people kept coming to him with more and more. Rashida had even suggested to producers that they unintentionally record Erica and Mendes together in a private scene. Means was taken aback and stated, "That's not reality TV. That's budget sabotage." The plan was to shoot them casually talking and then twist it into something romantic with the correct editing. He wasn't even furious at production if he knew the game, but finding out that someone he previously broke bread with, someone who called his wife sis, was the one attempting to turn him into a scandal, that cut deep. He told Yandy about it, and she only nodded, saying, "This is why we don't have to sit at everyone's table." The trust had been broken before, but now it was obliterated. Then came the sit down, which everyone dreaded. Producers urged Mendes and Rashida to film one more scene together, without Kirk or Yandy, just them face to face. To clear the air, Mendesi agreed to do it. "I'm not here to fight," he informed them, but to let her know that what she did would not go unchallenged. Rashida was the first to enter the silent room after hours, which had only 2 chairs, 1 camera, and a lot of unspoken words. Her face looked tight, not angry, just uncomfortable, as if she'd ran out of ways to protect herself and realized she was walking into a Mendes didn't waste time or play games. So he sat down, looked at her, and asked, "Why?" Mondesi shook his head, saying, "You don't." He joked about pregnancy, saying, "You don't put that on a woman who already has the entire world watching her every move. And don't hurl dirt on my name just because your partner has been moving weirdly." Rashida tried to soften her tone, saying she thought he and Yandy were strong enough to ignore the noise and that she hadn't expected it to blow up like this. Mendesi responded, "That's the problem. You didn't care whether it exploded, Ellie. Cared if it took the heat away, Kirk." Then he leaned forward, voice low and gaze steadfast. "But allow me to tell you something. Next time you utilize me or my wife, Erica, fixing what's broken in your house will not be a sit down. It will be a shutdown." Rashida did not respond. She simply glanced aside. And that quiet said everything, since there was no slice with a boom microphone. Production tried to lighten the mood and make it appear as if things were settling down, but they couldn't, because no matter how many scenes they shot in charming cafes or expensive boutiques, the cast couldn't get over the Erica pregnancy rumor, not because it was still in circulation, but because it revealed something deeper. Rashida was willing to go to great lengths to protect Kirk's reputation, even if it meant burning bridges. Kirk was said to have been pressing producers behind the scenes to bring the enthusiasm back to the lads and divert attention away from the damage Rashida had done and shifted into something more neutral. He suggested a boys' trip, some bonding scenes, even a sit-down with Scrappy, to rekindle the cast chemistry. But the producers didn't bite. They observed how the fans were reacting. And right now, Kirk and Scrappy weren't fishing. It was Rashida's treachery and Mandesi's slow, surgical retaliation. Fans were relentless. Every time Rashida shared a photo, the comments were filled with baby emojis, snake emojis, and lengthy words about accountability. Even when she tried to redirect attention back to people weren't into her store or music, they sought answers. They desired honesty. They wanted her to admit she lied and ruined many people's lives. But Rashida refused to speak the words aloud. She danced around it and said things like, "We all make mistakes and I've grown from this." But never once did she state, "I lied about Erica being pregnant by Mendes." And that quiet kept the fire going. Yand, on the other hand, returned to filming with confidence. She showed there, filmed her sequences, remained polite, but kept her distance. Her tone during confessionals was chilly but strong. When a producer asked her if she'd ever forgive Rashida, she paused before saying, "I don't believe in hating people, but I do. I believe in remembering how people move when no one is watching." Fans loved it. Clips from that occasion went viral in minutes. The comment section erupted in applause, with many declaring her the only person on the show with actual class. The true surprise occurred when Erica decided to speak again, but not live. Shug it down with a large entertainment blog and did a full interview. She broke everything down: how the rumor reached her, how she established Rashida was behind it, and how Yandy and Mondesi supported her. Behind the scenes, she may have been humiliated on a national scale. She even admitted that after the incident, she pondered leaving the program, but she stayed to show women what it means to stand up for yourself. Then she dropped it. Bomb. She claimed there was a second voice note that had not been aired or released. And on that topic, someone apparently associated to Kirk's group was heard adding, "Rashida said if this hits the blogs, it'll kill two birds. Take the burden off Kirk and get Yandy out of that wife of the year role." Fans lost it. That sentence alone became a trend overnight, and the outrage doubled when I attempted to post her own interview. She tried to explain her side, claiming that things were taken out of context and that the voice notes were substantially manipulated and distributed with malicious purpose. But it didn't matter anymore. The court of public opinion had made its decision, and they weren't buying any of it. Meanwhile, Mendices remained collected. He didn't gloat or rub it in, but he did make one discreet move that sent a loud message. He posted a photo of Yandy and Erica at a charity event, smiling together, with no caption or tags. Over 500,000 likes, thousands of comments, all supportive and kind, with fans saying things like, "This is how grown women move," and "Real recognizes real." Then came the network's response. VH1 released a mid-season trailer that did not shy away from the drama, including the voice note clip. They showed the sit-downs. They teased a confrontation between Kirk and Scrappy, and the way they cut it, they made it. Execs reportedly told producers that it was one of the most watched episodes in 2 years, indicating that this wasn't just drama, but also war. Vendi began denying invitations to specific cast gatherings, and Candy refused to shoot anything that she was obliged to sit close to Rashida and Erica, and she made it clear to producers that there would be no setups, shade sequences, or phony conflict. "If y'all want me in this season, I control how I show up," she said, and they agreed because she was no longer just a cast member, but also a fan favorite with a redemption narrative that audiences. Kirk, in the meantime, was scrambling. He tried to rectify matters by having private meetings with Scrappy and Jock, trying to pull them back in, but word spread that Jock had told Apahi he was worried about everyone except the woman who blew up his entire house, with the quote, "You already know." It made its way online. Rida, too, began to step back from filmmaking. She began turning up late and fatigued, as if the weight of the catastrophe she had made was finally settling in. The worst part is that Kirk never defended her in public. Not once. Not